You could give your money to an orphan overseas instead, but has an overseas orphan ever made you laugh? Actually, don't answer that. Support the habit at patreon.com/doseofbuckley. This is Social Media Meltdown, the feature where we look at a news story that's trending online and the furious reactions to that story. As you know, this is a hard feature to do because no one ever overreacts online. Our top story: the entire month of June saw a multitude of video game announcements as every major video game company released showcases and directs announcing their upcoming releases for 2023 and beyond. Some of the more notable announcements included the first new 2D Super Mario Bros. Game in over 11 years, a release date for Spider-Man 2, remakes and re-releases from the Metal Gear Solid franchise, extended gameplay footage for Starfield, and a teaser for the long-awaited new entry in the Fable series. In other news, the new Fable main character is Uggo. She's gross. Now, we can ignore that everyone's sharing the same awkward freeze frame to make the character design look worse than they actually do, while other screenshots from the same trailer make her look relatively plain but not particularly ugly. She looks like one might expect a medieval adventurer might look like, but oh wait, yes, I'm getting word that we are going to ignore those things. The left have turned fat and ugly into the new normal, it will never be accepted, boycott Fable, 10 ellipses, says someone sharing a Melanie Mac video titled, "Stop Uglyfying Female Video Game Characters." The character isn't fat, in fact, she seems to have similar proportions to Melanie Mac. Is Melanie fat? Well, probably all those plain-ass eggs she's been cooking on her gas stove. Making female video game characters weirdly unattractive or unnaturally masculine is an odd trend in video game art that I think is worth discussing. Oh, you do, huh? You think it's worth discussing? We should have serious discussions over how hot the polygons are? Okie dokie. Well, let's see what intellectual discourse has been stirred by this topic from the great minds of our time. Wokeness. Packer and fellas, debate's over. I wonder if Mensa members get their blue checks for free, or if they have to pay extra for them. Femininity and attractiveness is illegal now. Sorry, hot girls. Call the police and turn yourselves in. Your mere existence breaks the law. Lock them all up until it's only goblins left free. This is what happens when you hire the type of female coders. They're not pretty, so they take it out on the art they create. Now, I will admit that I've never worked in the gaming industry, although I do know some people who do. But do the ugly female coders also work in the art and design department? Or does this guy think that these coders, you know the types, are typing, if character equals female, make face equal ugly, clapping their hands together and going, "One more blow against the patriarchy, take that, male gamers." Any activity that pulls us out of reality in large doses is, by definition, disordered. Transgenderism, video games, drugs, pornography, alcohol, fantasy novels, role-playing, etc. I'm firmly of the belief that living in fantasy leads to poor outcomes. You saw this picture of a video game girl and that's what came out, huh? Video games, drugs, porn, Terry Pratchett's Discworld, Dungeons and Dragons, and those they, them, whatevers, all disordered. Not like me, I'm very normal, writing this on Twitter because I felt it was so important to share with the world. So the so-called trend of weirdly unattractive video game characters isn't a new discussion. We went through this a year or so ago with the release of Horizon Forbidden West, when another blue check had a different thought on what the cause of this is. Women like Anita Sarkeesian are a big influence in making women in video games ugly, but it's a slap in the face to women. Women can't be hot and have any other talents. They have to be unattractive to be strong. Again, sharing an awkward screenshot of the main character, Aloy, from Horizon. Other pictures have her looking rugged, but not manly or ugly. She looks like a female survivor of a post-apocalyptic world. But this has actually been a question for a long time. Can beautiful, feminine women be better athletes than women who are seen as butch and masculine? Or does that butchness give them some sort of advantage, perhaps even an unfair advantage? In 1995, nearly 30 years ago, a sports commentator was fired for saying that women golfers with big tits can't swing the club properly and that lesbians will ruin the game. In the late 90s, ESPN named tennis star Anna Kournikova the hottest female athlete, and then a couple of years later called her the #1 most overrated athlete in sports. Which is pretty funny because in tennis you're ranked by wins and losses. You can't be overrated or underrated, you are simply rated. But either way, they felt she was hot, but not actually good. Fast forward to 2023, and you have people calling Brittany Griner, born a woman and one of the best modern WNBA players, a man. So, I don't know what to tell you. Yes, this stereotype has existed for a long time. Will making lady characters who look like they're going to tip over and who have a face full of makeup who are also ass kickers fix this? Is that what this is about? Guys, the video game characters need to be hotter because hot women need better representation so they'll be taken more seriously in athletic competition. That's what this is really all about. It's not at all about guys wanting the pixels to give them boners. Whew, I'm so glad that's not the case. Game developers in the West truly do go out of their way to make the most ugly and visually unappealing character designs ever. I don't even want to look at her, let alone play as her. Whoops, never mind. This guy's mad the pixels aren't appealing. Again, we're talking about the perceived trend in Western game development. Now, I don't know if you guys know what a trend is, but usually it's something really popular that's happening a lot. Wearing bell-bottoms in the 70s was a trend. So far, we have 2 examples. I'm not sure 2 is a trend. But let's talk about some other Western games released in the last, let's say, 4 to 5 years. Dead Island 2's girls all look pretty feminine. You got hot Asian girl, hot punk girl, and the butch girl even has this feminine-like lingerie underneath a tank top. Spider-Man had Black Cat looking very Black Cat, skin-tight bodysuit highlighting her assets and all. And Mary Jane was pretty girly. You played as her a couple times in the game, in the worst missions, but still. Juliana from Deathloop, conventionally attractive woman. She is black, so that might be too woke for some gamers, but she is trying to kill you, so maybe that balances it out? The new Mortal Kombat trailer showed that they haven't toned Mileena's tits down in 2023, and in fact, they actually made her hot. Overwatch 2 has a bunch of girly characters, including whatever Blondie with the massive rack and rump, no waist, and wings is supposed to be. I know everyone complained about the new Saints Row being woke, and also kind of buggy, but you could create very conventionally feminine characters in it. They weren't like, no, only wide-jawed uggos allowed. Cyberpunk 2077 has numerous videos devoted to creating the cutest and hottest female character. And they recently released a trailer for a new Star Wars game called Outlaws, in which the female character is conventionally feminine looking for sure. And people still complain that they wouldn't have the option to be a dude because what all this comes down to isn't that gamer dudes don't want to be ugly women, they don't want to be women at all. Which, maybe that's better than being upset about them being ugly, because if you're upset that the characters aren't hot, that Western game design is bad because they're not making anime Genshin Impact girls that you want to rub yourself raw to, then go jerk off to anime, you weebs, and prove that maybe the very obviously religious loony going on about gamers being disordered earlier was onto something. And so, we conclude the madness with a reminder that there is some sanity left in the world. I do think it's interesting that people even recognize the attractiveness of video game characters to this extent. Does the attractiveness or lack thereof remove anything from the gaming experience? Yes, I can't play without a full erection. If all my blood isn't coursing through my penis with all the power of Niagara Falls, I don't feel like a real man. And only real men can be the best at video games. Real men like me, who have opinions about how fuckable pixels are. This is Social Media Meltdown, where you can try and contain the contamination, but why bother when it's already a wasteland?